Hey Tony, it's Dr. Scott. I got some feedback for you on your IRB application materials. We'll talk about any questions you have about this stuff tomorrow, and also any lingering questions about the lit review and the proposal that's due on Friday. Ideally, I'd like to get the IRB application out this week, and I know that there's a lot going on. So if I was to pick a priority, I'd say it'd probably be the IRB application, and then the proposal comes in after that. We need to get this before IRB so that they can give us a thumbs up or thumbs down on your project. Okay, so I have some feedback. I'll kind of talk through it. I'll pause this screencast to bring up different documents, and here we go. All right, first page looked pretty solid. These are friends of yours, right? Like the people that you're going to be recruiting for this study. So they're not like these aren't going to be people that are going to ditch on you if you if you buy a bunch of pizza. I don't think IRB will kick this back if you withhold the remuneration after an interview. I'm not sure if they will. They might. They might say you need to give them the option to maybe receive remuneration even if they partially contribute to your research study. I'd say leave it as is, but this might be something that we have to come back and address later on. I haven't addressed that situation. Anytime there's remuneration involved, usually participants are allowed to have some for their partial participation. Okay. There are places where I thought your writing was a little confusing. It's here, and especially on the research summary questions. So here you write, studies reporting on active procrastination in specific individuals in a qualitative study to see if any discrepancies exist between their personal experiences and the quantitative data provided by other studies on the phenomena. That's a mouthful. It's also a super long sentence. And so I think it needs to get broken up, and I think you kind of need to be a little bit more specific. Like, quantitative data have said this. I want to see if that bears out in my qualitative project. And I don't know if you're referring to those 4 criteria that you mentioned in the research summary questions, but if you are, you might be a little bit more specific. The application was a little hard to read because, and I know that the application kind of sucks, but what I would do is I would just kind of highlight your text, underline it, and then that is a lot easier to kind of read. Okay. And then that's it for this document. So hold on, be right back. I'm on the consent document right now, and it looks like everything is pretty solid. Privacy. Yeah, I think privacy is the only thing. You need to specify where the informed consent forms are going, the signed informed consent forms are going to be located, because that's the only thing that's going to identify people in the study, and you can say that they're going to be stored in Massey 423, which is my office, for a period. I'd prefer if you had 2 years, because I don't want to be carrying around a bunch of paperwork. So a period of 2 years, and they'll be destroyed after that. But you need to specify where they're going to be. You also need to specify that their video, or I'm sorry, not video, but their voice recordings are going to be stored on a password protected computer in Massey 423 as well. That needs to be included. I'm pretty sure it needs to be included here in the consent form. It definitely needs to be included in the IRB application, which I just talked about, but I missed that. So back to the IRB application right quick. So 4B, yeah, here, this place, you need to talk about where the data is going to be warehoused, so that'll be my office. You also need to explain where their audio files are going to be located if you're going to record the interviews. Okay, So that's the consent form, the IRB application, interview questions. I just had one piece of feedback for you there. I do think you might want to include questions or a question about times that they've been confronted for being a procrastinator. Did somebody try to procrastinate, shame them or something like that? How did that go? How did that turn out? What were their feelings about that? That would be kind of interesting. I also want to make sure, like, if the 4 categories you mentioned in the summary, the research summary questions, if those are super important to your project, if that was like kind of like helping you define the phenomena for a phenomenology, then I think you want to make sure that your questions are kind of getting around all 4 of those criteria, if that makes sense. So however you're defining procrastination, active, passive, whatever, make sure that you got questions are getting around the entirety of that phenomena. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. We'll chat about it tomorrow. And finally, research summary. Just a few comments here. Confusing sentence here, differ minutely between individuals. I don't know if you're doing a right click and looking for synonyms, but it doesn't work there. So find a term that makes a bit more sense. Slight difference, I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to go for there. I also think that this is pretty interesting, but I'm not sure exactly what it is you're saying yet. Should provide an opportunity to draw a better conclusion about how, and then this is where I start to get lost, how rigidly or flexibly these traits appear in different people's work habits. And then I think one last bit of feedback is this right here. Ideally, you should be done within a month. Give yourself until the beginning of May, just in case you need to do any follow-up interviews. You need to get a hold of somebody in April, ask them some follow-up questions. Leave yourself that out. Okay. You also mentioned that you were doing observation. I didn't see that in the IRB application. I think it's probably a good idea to mention that you might do like an observation, like if they're, I thought we had talked about you possibly observing them, like a focus group kind of thing. You get the 4 guys together and you talk about procrastination, and that's an option. And if that's what you want to do, make sure that gets into your IRB stuff. Okay, that's it for now. So we will chat tomorrow, and you can ask me any questions you have. All right, Tony, I'll talk to you soon.